Hello and welcome to Aberdeen, Scotland. That is not the Mighty Dash. The Mighty Dash is in the shop undergoing some repair and refurbishment. So for this leg of our round the world journey from Aberdeen to Southampton, we are going to be flying in a very sporty Beechcraft Turbine Duke that belongs to the Mighty Dash's company. That handsome devil sitting in the captain's seat looking out right there, nodding, is yours truly, naturally. And this is a Beechcraft Duke B60 that has been re-engined with a pair of Pratt & Whitney PT6As. In addition to that, it has been equipped with a pair of Garmin GT750s into which I have programmed our route, which, as you can see, will take us southward to Perth and then to the Alasso intersection. We'll pick up the P18 airway and we'll take it to Honolulu, and we will fly a star into Southampton, where probably we'll land, weather permitting, on the ILS on runway 20. I must warn you, I don't have a lot of experience with this airplane, nor with this FMS system, so this should be kind of interesting, I suppose. Anyway, we will get started. We'll just load ourselves with some fuel. Now, I see we are full, which is good. And actually, we'll offload a little bit of fuel here because we certainly don't need all of it. Get our weight and balance a little bit within limits here, because we're a little nose heavy at the moment. There we go. We will set our altimeter at 2991. And boy, oh boy, this is going to be fun. Now, you know, I'm something of a turboprop slut, so this should be fun. Unlike the Dash, it does not have FADEX. We've got our standard prop pitch and condition levers and power levers. Prop sync is here, landing gear is here. Oh, let's see, we'll make sure our parking brake is on. It is. We'll turn on our beacon and turn on our navigation lights, and let's figure out how to start this. We will turn our avionics off. And I don't want to lose our flight plans, so keep our battery on, kill our warning there. And we'll start number 2 first. And we do that by turning our ignition on, turn our fuel pump on. We've got our oil doors right here, oil cooler doors here open, because I don't want to risk overheating the engine, certainly not on startup. And what we're going to do is we're going to hit the starter and we're going to wait until we see about 12% on the turbine speed, and then we're going to introduce fuel. If we do it any sooner than that, we risk a hot start, because unlike the Dash, there's not a FADEC to protect us. So waiting for this to come up to about 12, and we're going to move this into low idle. There we go. And we're going to watch a very, very powerful engine come online. We're going to monitor our temps, make sure we don't overspeed anything. So far we haven't. We're going to wait for it to settle down. And miracle of miracles, it does. So we are going to turn off that fuel pump. We're going to turn this to generator. We'll turn our inverter to main. There we go. And we'll start number 1. So again, ignition comes on. Ignition on this side goes to auto. And starter, well, pump comes on first. Starter comes on. Again, we're looking for 12. We got 12. Just gently move that up. Alrighty. And it is making a mighty noise. Turn our ignition to auto, turn our left-hand generator on, turn our fuel pump off, monitor our voltages. We have them. We'll set takeoff flaps. We've set our autopilot to our initial altitude. And turn our yaw damper off, flight director on, put ourselves in heading select mode. We'll arm our altitude. This thing climbs unbelievably fast. We'll set our takeoff trim. If I can find the indicator on it. There we go. That was set unnaturally high. That would have had us rocketing into the sky. We'll check that our tanks are on both, and that is good. And in the meantime, we'll turn on our heats. Bring on a little air here. And a little defrost here. Turn on our taxi lights and taxi out to runway 34. Now, we do this because we're so unbelievably overpowered here by manipulating our props in beta and our condition levers. As you can see, we do like to roll a bit. I'll just bring our props gently into beta there. And we will gingerly taxi on out. This airport is not exactly proper. There's grass where there should be taxiways, and taxiways where there should be grass. So we're actually going to jump across the grass here and onto that taxiway off at our 2 o'clock. And I'm just walking these props into beta just very slightly. Turboprops are not modeled unbelievably true to life in FSX or prepared, so you just sort of have to make allowances. I'm trying to do this without getting on the brakes. That's the goal. The goal is not to wear out your brakes. I believe we're going to taxi out this way, down this runway-ish sort of thing, which is mainly a helipad. This being Aberdeen and us being on the North Sea, there's no shortage of oil wells. And that means there's no shortage of choppers to service them. And I just like saying service. Alright, we'll just climb into beta there. And I believe we can taxi down the left side of this runway here. This is going to be our departure runway. And I'll freely admit I don't know whether our Garmin is going to sequence us right. And that is kind of a taxiway. In any case, we'll take it. And we'll take this to the end of runway 34. And I'm kind of proud of myself. I've barely touched the brakes here. Just kind of crawl along here. The one thing I have noticed is that once you get this thing airborne, it is a pure pleasure to fly, a lot like the Dash. It's very well modeled. It is certainly better modeled than this airport, and apologies in advance, I'm making everybody seasick here. And there is no way to get on this runway, so I'll just spin us into beta here. And we'll get lined up. I will use the brake here. And in a second you will see just how unbelievably well this aircraft performs. And let me just see if there's anything else we need to do to sequence this flight plan. I think it's loaded. It is suspended. Let's see how we unsuspend it. Unsuspend. Well, there you go. Makes sense. And and we seem to have lost an engine. Alright, well that's my SciTech throttle at work, I'm sure. Oh, we'll power it back. Turn on the ignition, turn on the fuel pump. Start her up. Let's see if we can make this work. Oh boy, it's gonna be one of those flights. Turn on the ignition. Turn on the starter. There we go. Wait for the start. There we go. Turn on the gen. Turn the ignition to auto. For the moment, turn off the fuel pump. Put on the parking brake. Get our power squared away. And because I don't have auto course set up, we'll set the CDI to 220 as it recommends. And we'll set the runway heading to there. And we'll set our autopilot to nav. And presumably, if I've got it right, we should have a magenta line. Which is right there. And we'll fly and we'll intercept that. Quickly check our flight plan. We'll activate that leg. And we'll see if that reflects on the map. Alright, well, it's basically telling us we're going to have to fly this way and manually intercept it, and that's perfectly fine. So that will do. And it'll give us all our information to get there. Direct to Glesk, and then Perth. So let's do it. Anyway, the star specifies that our initial altitude is going to be 1200. We've set that. Set our flight director on. Our CDI looks like it's set up right. We'll turn our taxi lights off. Landing lights on. Check our trims. By the way, you fly in this plane with condition levers in low idle most of the time. So that's what we're going to do. And because we're in a critical phase of flight, we're going to turn on our pumps and check our caution lights, and we're fine. So let's go flying. I'm going to stay on the brakes. I'm going to slowly advance our power levers. Make sure our engines stabilize. We are not going to use 100% torque. We are going to use about about 800 pounds of torque per side. And the plane darting back and forth is not my feet. It is actually my power levers. They're not very, well, they're nervous, and they're not well calibrated. But here we go. And with a roar and a rumble, we're off. Positive rate, gear up. I'm going to put ourselves in nav mode, arm the altitude. I'm going to turn on the autopilot, and it is going to turn us to our initial heading. Up come our flaps. Be ready to disconnect the autopilot at any moment because might do something hinky. And now we're turning towards Perth. And look at that beautiful Scotland scenery. Just making sure I'm not overspeeding. It is very easy to overspeed in this airplane. And let's just clear ourselves up to a cruising altitude. Which will be flight level 250 today. And up we go. And just watch this thing climb. I'm just going to bring up the power here. I want you to see what it can do. (2,000 feet per minute). That is nothing. This thing will climb like the proverbial. And I think we're going to turn onto course. I believe we are. Let us try 4,000 feet per minute, shall we? Also, at this point, I can turn on prop sync, which will help even out our slightly crazed flying here. Also turn off our fuel pumps. Well, peace and quiet in here. And look at us go. 4,000 feet per minute, no problem. And since we're above a flight level in Britain, we'll turn our altimeter to standard. We're not even at our best rate of climb speed. Let's see how much more climb we can do. I need new power levers. Okay, even climbing at blue line speed or a little bit less than that, I just want you to look at this. We're basically going straight up. This plane has far more power than it needs, although that's probably a bit much. I don't want to stall us here. And we'll turn off our lights. Looking good. Start climbing at a somewhat more reasonable rate of speed. And we've lost an engine. Goody. Let's see which one we've lost. We'll disconnect the autopilot. And we'll diagnose our problem. We've lost our number 2 engine. We will feather it. And we will power it off. And we will trim nose down. Turn off our yaw damper. We'll get ourselves stable and see if we can do a hot restart. This is a temperamental beast. And get ourselves back on course. Start cranking in a little bit of left rudder trim. Give us our little bit of help here. Let's see what our caution panel says. Oh, oil pressure. Yeah, I know we do have low oil pressure. We've turned off the engine. All right, get ourselves back on course here and start to get our engine started. We've already declared an emergency. Or in Europe, we've actually declared a PAN, which is a semi-emergency, not a mayday. Get a little bit more left rudder trim in there. There we go. Turn ourselves back on course. Admire the scenery a little bit. Turn on our fuel pumps. And as you can see, we're having no trouble maintaining altitude. I am going to bring our engine back a little bit, bring our temperatures down. And at the moment, I'm just flying the plane. And what we'll do is we will restart number 2, see if we can make it work. Turn on the ignition. Turn on the starter. In real life, we could do a windmilling start on this engine, but P3D will not allow that. Hey, okay, we got a light. We also have an overspeed or an over torque. Hope that doesn't continue. Okay, we'll slowly bring up the power. And we'll look at our HSI there and get ourselves back on course. And try and get where we're going. Keep our power a little bit within reason, though. I think we probably just overstressed the poor dear. All right. Bring the autopilot back in. Get us back on course. Bring our props back a little bit. decrease our rate of climb. Go a little easier on the old engines. Monitor our temps and our speeds. See if we can be a little nicer. Engage our yaw damper. Cycle it at least. Get it back in the game. Fix our rudder trim, certainly. And continue on up to cruising altitude. Anyway, you can see what a temperamental beast this airplane is. It's a lot of fun. Turn our ignitions to auto. Get both sides of our generators on. And get back airborne. Fun stuff. Get our heading bug back where it needs to be. And I have to say, this is quite a neat little thing. That is a CDI, and it seems to correspond with this. Go to our flight plan. Glass. Let's see if we can do a direct 2. Well, it's not that. Oh, wait, you know what? Watch this. Activate leg. I'll betcha that makes us go direct to Perth. I guess it does. Look at that. You know what? Let's go direct to Nexus. Save ourselves a little bit of time. So we've been cleared direct to Nexus. And we have a direct 2 key. Look at this. Watch this. Direct 2. Flight plan. Nexus. Activate. Course to 147 so that we're lined up here. Ah, it's automatically set. Look at that. Look at that. And now we're going direct to Nexus. Only we are about to stall out of the sky, so let me just out of a desire to save our engines a little bit, I've gotten a little bit overzealous. Still have to work out my proper torque settings to fly this plane properly. But well, it's fun to learn. Now right now I'm set up as north up. I actually want to be track up. Let me see if I can fix that. Okay, that's not what I want to do. Menu, map, setup, orientation, track up. There we go. Look at this. It shows extended center lines. Wow. Okay, airspaces. Yes, I want to show airspaces. Traffic. Alerts only. Weather. Well, I don't know. Can't turn that off. Okay, now watch this. And now airways all. Change user fields. I want to see my crosswinds. So let's make that. Track. Wind speed and direction. And now look, I've got a crosswind thing here. Ground speed here. Distance to waypoint. And it tells, oh, look at that. This is very slick. All right. Done. Now you see we're track up. And we've got airspaces here. A lot of airspaces. Wow. Man, this is cool. And we're at 250, so let's get into our cruise. Bring our props back a little. To be truthful, I don't know how much is the right amount. But we'll make it so that we can hear ourselves think. And we are not at anywhere near maximum torque right now, which is good. And prop sync is on. That's cool. And we need to adjust our rudder trim. Oh, it's very sensitive. And we don't want to exceed this because in my experience with this plane, it practically explodes if you go too fast. And we'll put in a little aileron trim too. No, we're okay. Alright. It's creeping up to VNE right here, so let me just slow down a bit. And as you can see, our ground speed is freaking fast. Not sure what the Omni bearing selector does, because I think we're already in nav mode. Yes, we are. Square up our heading bug. And we've got a little bit of a crosswind blowing us this way, which is probably why we're a little bit cocked off to this side. And I just like saying cocked off to this side, because God knows I've been cocked off all day. Let's see why we are a little bit on the tilty side. I wonder if I'm burning fuel unevenly. Got both tanks on. Fuel flow is almost even. Just trying to even our props out a little bit. We first turn off the yaw damper, then get our rudder trimmed and put it back on. That could be what's doing it. Seem to be just a little cockeyed. And we're inside the Class Bravo 4. Not sure. but we are probably, this is probably Edinburgh right around here, if I'm not mistaken. We've been over Perth already. Let's try another flight plan trick. Do another direct to. Go direct to Alasso. And activate and watch what happens. Now this is really interesting. Our engine died again. Well, isn't that special? Our number 2 engine died again. Alright, well, we'll feather it and turn it off. And we'll see how well the airplane flies itself this time. Bring up the power. I wonder why this is happening. Whenever I hit a direct to and the plane turns, the engine dies. It's certainly not ideal. Turn the ignition on. I don't want the prop to windmill like that. I'll break the prop governor. Turn the prop sync off. And honestly, I'm wondering what the hell's going on here. I have prop RPM because it's windmilling. Oh, don't disconnect. There we go. I'll keep it on. The autopilot, that is. And I have no idea what this airplane is doing. We have... oh, crap. Well, now we're a glider. Just turned off both engines. Let's very quickly start engine number 1. Oh, please. I'm getting nothing. Fuel pump is on. Starter is on. Ignition is on. And getting a little ride around the sky here. I have to disconnect the autopilot and wait till that power comes up. Get our airspeed up, our alpha down. Get a little left rudder in. This is very annoying. Get ourselves back on course. Alright, now we'll start number 2. Try to fly the airplane. Ignition to on. Starter to on. Wait for 12. Up comes the condition lever. Up comes the power. Over torquing as we go. And it looks like we have two working engines barely. This is turning out to be more drama than I expected. Well, at least we haven't lost too much altitude as we come back on course. Honestly, I need new throttle quadrants, and I'm going to fly this with my condition levers a little bit further forward, just so they don't do what they did. And I'm just going to cycle our props. And I'm wondering why I'm not getting sufficient power from my number one engine. All right. Matter of fact, I'm getting no power control at all for my number two. It's all or nothing here. It might be time in a moment to exercise our nearest airport function here in our Garmin. Because to say I'm dazed and confused would be an understatement. More or less maintaining altitude here. That's the amazing thing. You know what I'm going to do? Bring up number one, and I'll restart number two again. So number one's coming up. Get ourselves into nav mode. Turn on the autopilot for a minute. See if it'll hold us where we want to be. I think it will. Let's see what our caution is telling us. Right engine over limits. Well, no kidding. What we'll do is we'll turn it off. Hell, maybe we'll fly the whole flight on one engine and land it that way too. This is turning into the perils of Pauline. My apologies, everyone. As we come back on course again. Oh, the autopilot's working nicely. Our temps, though, are creeping a little bit high for our number one, and I don't want them to get any higher than that. Oh, this is turning into fun, isn't it? Okay, our left generator is back online. I'm going to restart again. Number 2. You're killing me, man. Absolutely killing me. Just watching my speed and seeing if it turns us on course. Boy, oh boy. Look at that lever bopping around, and that's for like no reason whatsoever. Alright, we'll try a restart. Ignition on. Starter on. Light this sucker off. We seem to have a start. Turn our right-hand generator on. Turn both our ignitions off. And let's see if we can go flying again. We're make sure my cooling doors are fully open here. They are. I wonder if they shouldn't be open. All right. I'm going to fly in high idle at this point, only to keep them from accidentally popping down. Bring the props back a little bit. And pop in our prop sync. And wonder just what the hell is going on. Okay, we're on course still, miraculously. Let's just speed things up a little bit, though. Let's go direct to Tilney. Magic DTO button. Flight plan, Tilney. Now, let's see if this turns off one of the engines. Shouldn't, but watch this. Alright, maybe the engine thing was coincidental. Tell you though, quite a thing. I'm going to gently bring the power up, making sure that we don't get our temps too high. I mean, that's our props. Let me find our oil temp. I mean our ITT. Okay, that's fine. We've got plenty of fuel and it's equal on both sides. Let's trim out our rudder. Our speeds, everything seems fine. Electrics are fine. Our oil temperature, which is hidden right behind here. All in the green. Our cabin altitude is about as high as it can go, but that's fine. So we should be golden. A finicky beast this thing is, though. And turn off our fuel pumps as well. Well, it's a mystery. Purely a mystery, but let's throw in a little speed here and get it done. This is beautiful Orbix, England out here. Just give you a better view out the wing. And oddly enough, it looks like England. The farms and the hedgerows and everything looks great. And again, I'm just being ever so gentle with the power. But I mean, this should just work. No reason why it shouldn't. What a monster of an airplane, though. See if I can see progress on this. Okay, 60 to Tilney. All right, we got a ways to go. What I'll do is I will cut the video right here and pick it up again when we get a little bit closer, and maybe after I've had 4 or 5 more engine failures. Sounds like a plan? I knew you'd like it. See you in a bit. Okay, we're back on the way from Aberdeen to Southampton, having diverted around just a little bit of weather, but luckily having had no more engine failures. Just been monkeying around a little bit with some of the functions of our Garmin GTN 750, which is, I think the technical term for it is slicker than rat shit. It's so damn cool. But I have yet to scratch the surface of this thing, nor understand fully all the Garminisms and Garmin conventions, but you can use utilities here, and I'm going to use what's called vCalc, which will give us a little guidance for our descent. This does not have full VNav, but it'll give us some help. So we'll say we want to be at 3,000 feet, and we want to be offset 0. And we want to be at the waypoint Southampton, and we want to go down at, say, 700 feet per minute, and display messages. Yes. Alright, now I think what that will do is it will flash a message at the top of descent. Let's see if it draws a top of descent on there. Alright, I don't see one, but we're going to have to come down 22,000 feet in. Let's be a little bit manual here. 22,000 feet in 112 miles. So we really need about 66 miles, so we should start this about 50 miles from here. We should start going down, give or take. Let's see if that VCalc. Try that again. 3,000. Enter. I want to go down at 700. Done. Descend to target. Let's make it 1 mile. And we want to go to Southampton. Ah, we're already there. All right, well, here, let's start to go down. Go to our map. Zoom us in. Set our desired altitude. Down at 1,000 feet per minute. And we want to go down to 3. And let's see how we get on. Okay, that's armed. Come back on our power so we don't overspeed. And our next waypoint, I believe, is Peeps, which is right there. As we gently come down and get a better look at the English countryside. Actually 80 miles to Peeps, and then another 10, so that's 90. So we can actually shallow out our descent a little bit. So I'm not exactly sure I'm using the VCalc function right. I'm sure I'm not. And the other thing I'm not sure of is how to activate the approach. But I think we do that when we get to Peeps. So we'll just cross that bridge when we get to it. The plane now, as I jinx myself here, is performing well. Got no warnings. I got my heats on. I've got my oil doors fully open because I don't want to roast my engines. And I can't see my temp gauges, which is really annoying. They're right down here. I should probably set up a view, but everything is within limits. Fingers crossed. The autopilot is magnificently good. We seem to be flying exactly as planned. Works like a dream. And we're 70, so we're 88. And we have to come down 19. So come down 20, so we really only need 60 miles to do it. But we're descending more gently. We're pretending we've been given a continuous descent arrival, which is so much in vogue in Great Britain and Europe, and will be here in the United States soon, mainly because it saves fuel and because it cuts down on noise, because you're not dropping yourself low prematurely and then powering all over the landscape. It's a very good thing to do. It's also kind of good for pilot discipline. Gets you in the habit of figuring out how to cannily fly the airplane. So cannily we roll along here. And look at this. We have Samuel Pepys. We've got Occam, Sir William of Occam as in Occam's razor. On the last flight, one of my vigilant viewers said, you know, you flew right over John Steinbeck's home, and should have mentioned Cannery Row, and I should have. But in our wanderings here, probably, I should really mention, I can find it here, Travels with Charlie, which is the good Mr. Steinbeck and his dog, Charlie, in a camper at age 58, wandering the country. And in a way, it was inspiration for Jack Kerouac's On the Road and William Least Heat Moon's book Blue Highways, which was big in the early 80s. Beautiful book about blue routes on the map, which at the time were the non-interstates. In other words, the roads less traveled. And I see a message here, and I'll bet you that means we're in airspace. Okay, that's fine. And we are 75 miles from our point where we should be at 3,000 feet, our initial approach fix. And then, as is the vogue in Britain and around Europe, there are a lot of fixes that are named after basically their radiuses and DMEs and things, and actually they make a lot of sense once you figure them out. For instance, this is a fix that's at 7.2 past Southampton on this bearing, so you know, once you figure it out, they actually do make sense. But being something of an idiot here, I can't pretend I know all about it. And look at that, it says Great Britain, just to remind us, just in case we've gotten ourselves totally lost. But here's the approach. We are going to fly to Southampton, and we are going to do a button hook here. Essentially a long teardrop kind of procedure turn, and then we're going to turn around and re-intercept. Excuse me. And I think what we'll do is we will see how the autopilot flies us, because why not? This could be fun. That's probably the A1 motorway, or maybe the M1 or the M5 or the M4 or something like that. I think it's the A1. Whatever the main north-south route is, that's what it be. And I am not mocking things English. is a wonderful place. It just has all sorts of funky little aviation conventions that I guess as an American I chafe against, but that's because I'm a bit of an ignoramus and I'm a bit provincial, so not sure I'm used to saying 118.7, but that's what they say, and you know what? Actually, it makes it more understandable than contact tower on .7, which is a little bit harder. I here in New York, I listen to New York ATC a lot, and JFK especially, and you do run into problems with international air crews because there's a certain American ATC lingo, and if you get the lingo, it works really well. And there's a lot of shorthand, and a lot happens very quickly. It's very efficient, but you get a lot of things that international pilots find very funny, like saying you're cleared to land behind 5 other aircraft or something like that, whereas in, say, at Heathrow, they'll clear you for the approach, and then they'll say proceed or continue, but they will not clear you to land until you are actually clear to land in front of you, and the airplane in front of you has vacated the runway. And sometimes that means you get late landing clearances. You get cleared on short final. And that's simply another way of doing things. It's there are vicious debates that get waged on pilots' bulletin boards and probably in pilots' lounges, with various partisans about which is a more efficient way of doing things, which is better, which is safer. The answer probably is, if you're accustomed to the system, either one of them works very, very nicely. When you're cleared to land at Kennedy in front, behind 5 other aircraft, and they say you're cleared to land, you're number 6, and the runway in front of you is not clear, they will tell you to go around, so you don't really have to worry about that. And the landing clearance part's already taken care of. I don't know which is better. I've got a grand total of about a couple dozen hours in an airplane, and none of it flying by myself, and none of it IFR, and none of it doing any radio work. So I'm an ignoramus where that's concerned. I fly fake planes. And I do find, though, that just to my own ear, the American style of doing things works fine, but that's probably because I'm just used to it. And I'm just gently tweaking my power here, trying to adjust things. I really need a new throttle quadrant. There's just no way around it, because you see these things sort of twitching right here? That's from noise coming from the pots on the thing, so it's really not good. Let's see where we are. We're 35 miles from Peeps. Let's see where we are in relation to... I think there's a button you can press to get the flight plan directly. Let's see, that's the squelch. These are to operate the radios, so you to tune it and flip-flop them. And transponder, and that works. And just ident for a moment. Alright, so I'm going to say we've got 50 till Southampton, and we need to be at 3,000. So we need to be down 15,000 to be conservative. So we need 30 miles, so we are fine. Again, I am just scratching the surface of this magnificent piece of electronics. And I've got two of them, so I can put a map up on this one, for instance, and my flight plan on this one, for instance. This is all just slicker than hell. Matter of fact, let me tweak the map on this one so that I'm track up here. I don't want to be north up. Go to menu, map setup, track up, auto zoom on, blah blah blah, traffic, alerts only, weather, nothing to do with that, smart airspace on, show all spaces, yes, normal, normal, normal. Don't need the heliports on, airports, runway extensions. Okay, 5 is the max. Looks good. Now, if you notice, I've got a nice map. I do not have a flight plan on this one because they do not cross-fill flight plans, so I would have to put an identical flight plan in here. And I have not done that, but they say they're working on cross-fill, but it's a hard problem. So 40 to Southampton, and we have to come down 13.5. Almost perfect. Almost perfect. I hesitate to say that because something's going to blow up. But this plane is a hot rod. Let's get a better look at our caution panel. Okay, heats are on. Prop sync is on. I don't really need left and right engine de-icing, and maybe that's what's been causing me the trouble. I do want pitot heat, though. Ah, ha. That's our ice doors. Check our oil temperatures here. Again, I should set up a view for this. A little on the cool side, actually, so. Let's see what that does to our doors there. Okay, they're half open now. Not sure whether you can cold shock these engines. I don't think you can. This isn't like a piston engine that you sort of have to baby as you descend. But as the air is getting denser, you can see we're getting closer to our barber pole speed, so I'm just going to back off the power a bit. And we're coming up on peeps. And I'll activate the approach shortly. Let's see, wing ice, that doesn't need to be on. I don't need fuel vent heat. Maybe that's what's doing it. Alright, looks like all my unnecessary heats are off at the moment. Let's check our weather in Southampton. Uh, 30-15, and we're going to have a bit of a crosswind from our right. Alright. See how we do in a crosswind. And you can see once you set the torque and get everything going, the plane is very stable. The autopilot is consistent. The thing flies by the numbers, more or less. However, my throttles are all over the place, my power levers, and that is mainly because my SciTech quadrants suck. Simple as that. They suck. Alright, now at some point I'm going to have to activate this approach. I wonder if it does it automatically. I don't think it does. See if I can arm it. We'll wait. Can always fly it manually if we have to. That's the nice thing about flying, is you can always fly. Don't have to be an automation manager especially if you don't understand the automation. And I can honestly say I don't. And also visually I don't quite know where I am. I do know that that's the English Channel coming up that way though. So we are getting there. I'm just scanning around for London and the Thames, and I think that's the mouth of the Thames right there, but I'm not sure. Some eagle-eyed viewers will be able to tell me. Can probably get it from my map somehow. It would help if I knew airport names too. Alright, we've just passed Heathrow, so London should be off that way actually. And Gatwick is right there, so see if we can come outside here and see beautiful London. My God, are we right above it? No. And are we turning onto our approach? I do believe we are. I'll activate it. Let's see if it works. Seems to. Now I think what it should do is it should spin us. We should basically be going to Southampton and then spinning around and coming back out to here. Let's see if it does it. This is fun. See how far away we are. We could be considerably high at this point. You know what? We probably are. Yep. Alright, well, we'll slow down. See what we've done wrong. Start descending a lot quicker. I think what I've done is I have put myself too high, miscalculated my descent, because we have to be at 3,000 in 9 miles. Alright, well, just slam on the brakes here. See what we can do. That, I believe, is the airfield. So now we're going to turn, go to this waypoint, and This airplane is going to overspeed in a minute, so I'm going to have to slow down our rate of descent, sadly. Get ourselves below our barber pole. Look at us go. Alright, this is your basic sporty arrival here. I'm probably going to have to drop gear early. I can do that at 174 knots if I'm not mistaken. Okay, I'm going to increase our rate of descent. Having fun yet? Got a little cloud bank going. Just see where we are in the map. Alright, there is our DME arc sort of thing. And that's our airport back there. Alright, we're going to do this. We're coming back this way. We're most definitely high. And I'm not sure whether we have to switch into blue needles. I think we probably do. Except I haven't tuned 110.75. Tune that in nav 1. Oh, it's in there. Look at this. It's tuned for us. Well, let's put it in. And look at that. We're already in the right mode. Let's put ourselves in approach mode. And let's see if we intercept. This is way too slick. Well, let's at least put ourselves in nav mode. Get the localizer here. Oh, there's our runway. All right, well, we're gonna disconnect that. We're gonna fly this thing like a fucking bucking bronco here. All right. One notch of flaps comes in. Yaw damper comes out. All right. I'm emotionally committed to this approach. Do a little S-turn here. Okay. Bring out our next notch of flaps. We're going to do this. You're not supposed to slip this aircraft, but I think we're going to. Gear is down, flaps are down. Look at that. Here we come. Bring in a little power. Oh, we're great. We're golden. Bring our speed down a little bit. Not that much. There we are.
Five hundred.
Yeah, you betcha. In the words of my good friend Chris, Heli Pilot 7, I love it when a plan comes together. Walking these throttles around a little bit, and we got a crosswind as expected. Just going to take out that crab. Like so. Ooh. And welcome to Southampton, where the local time is sporty. Beautiful airport. Look at this. All right, well, we're going to roll to the end here. And spin around and do the hokey pokey. And next leg of our flight is going to be, ooh, hard to say, but just get ourselves in beta mode here a little bit. There we go. Probably Le Bourget in Paris for some historic reasons, obviously. We're flying on Pan Am because I believe Mr. Lindbergh was a consultant to Juan Trippe, although mainly on his Pacific routes. But just to honor the man. And this is Orbix's Southampton, and it is gorgeous. By the time we go, we should have the Mighty Dash ready. Fix the little bugs we have with it. And in the meantime, as always, thanks for watching. Now above 400 subscribers. Thank you, one and all. I get an enormous kick out of corresponding, and everybody has just great things to say, and it's just a pure pleasure talking to all of you. So guess we'll pull into stand 5 here and pretend like we're one of the big boys. We'll just make it stand, lucky stand 7. If we can maneuver this thing properly, and that is not easy. Because this thing likes to go. But anyway, as I sort of ham-fistedly try to bring ourselves onto the pavement here, and it is beautiful pavement. It's been fun learning this airplane, and I'm certainly going to do a lot more learning, that's for sure. And on that note, as we pop into low idle here, bring our flaps up, and shut down our number 2, and shut down number 1. I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.